Hey everyone, if we've never met before, my name is Vojchehoske. I'm the director of Randall School of Real Estate. And today's video, I'm continuing a series on wholesaling in Nebraska. Now, we've already done 3 videos. What is a wholesale transaction? How is it structured? What are the rules and regulations that were passed by the Nebraska legislature? What are the rules and regulations that were implemented by the Nebraska Real Estate Commission? And then I did a 3rd video on agency relationship. So when that wholesaler hires a real estate professional to represent or sell their interest, who do they represent, and those type of things. So that was the 3rd video. Today's the 4th video. Now, the genesis of this video, I have been speaking to several investor groups regarding wholesale transactions, and this past Monday I had the privilege, that really was a privilege, to speak to Omaha's Real Estate Investors Association group. They have about 120 people that showed up. If you're involved in real estate investing at all, you really should be a member of Omaha RIA. It's a great organization. But during the Q&A session, I had two really great questions that I didn't quite know the answer to. And so I reached out to Director Greg Lemon. He is the director of the Nebraska Real Estate Commission, on his opinion on these 2 questions. So I have the answers. But before we tackle the answers, we have to do a little recap here. So what are the new regulations? And to sum it up, and I know you know this, but it's for contextual purposes. A wholesaler is free to go out without agent representation to engage a property owner, enter into a purchase contract to purchase the property owner's home. Now, once that contract becomes legally binding, the wholesaler has what's called equitable title or equitable interest. They mean the same thing. That is a valuable instrument. They can sell that interest. It's worth money. So once that contract is signed by the property owner or wholesaler, the wholesaler goes out and tries to find an end buyer to buy his equitable interest in that contract. This is where the new rules and regulations come into play. For the wholesaler to market that equitable interest or title in that contract, they are required by regulation to hire a licensed Nebraska real estate agent to market that equitable interest on behalf of the property owner. On behalf of the wholesaler. But the question from the audience member was, basically, if once that listing contract is signed by the wholesaler and the real estate company to make it all legal, can the wholesaler then turn around and do their own marketing? So the listing agent can market the equitable interest in that contract, but the wholesaler has a lot of lists and contacts and potential buyers. And once it's listed with an agent, is that wholesaler free to then engage their own list of potential buyers? And Greg Lemon said, no, they are not. The way that the regulation is being interpreted, if the wholesaler had a list of 100 contacts that they had previously before listing it with a real estate agent, they could not reach out in any form or fashion using any medium or method to communicate their inventory of wholesale transactions ready to be sold and purchased. They would have to give that list to their agent that they hired, and that agent would have to do the marketing and the communications. And this means using any method, including text, emails, word of mouth. Now, that includes any Facebook groups. So if the wholesaler were to post their inventory on that any kind of Facebook group or Twitter feed, or it doesn't matter, then that would be a license law violation. So the wholesaler would have to have their agent post that information under their name on those particular portals. So that is the answer to question number 1. Remember, wholesalers cannot in any way, form, or fashion market or advertise their own inventory to anyone using any method. Bottom line, no loophole. Question number 2 is really a little more interesting here. So here was the question. The wholesaler decides that for every transaction, they're going to create their own LLC. So the wholesaler has an LLC, And the wholesaler has the signature authority to engage into contracts and stuff like that on behalf of the LLC. So they find a property owner, and the wholesaler and the property owner, they come to terms and they enter into a purchase contract. But the LLC owns the equitable interest, not the individual wholesaler. However, the wholesaler turns around and then sells the LLC. Now, the LLC owns the equitable interest, and that LLC has assets that create value for that business, and that asset is equitable interest in that contract that the wholesaler who owns the LLC entered into with the property owner. If you missed all of that, rewind this and hear it again. Essentially, they're looking for a loophole. They're saying, listen, it's the LLC that owns the equitable interest, not me. I'm just trying to sell my business that has assets. And part of the assets is this equitable title in this contract. The LLC also owns, pens, paper, clipboards, stuff. So then would that circumvent this requirement that's been imposed on the wholesaling community? And Greg Lemon's position on this was no. Their position would be that's just an intent to circumvent the rules, and therefore they would feel it's a license law violation. He did admit, though, and this is interesting, he goes, if the wholesaler challenged the commission's ruling, they appealed it into the court system, he had no idea what a judge would say. But we all know that anytime you go to court, it's expensive. So anyways, those are two great questions that were posed at that particular meeting, and I do appreciate that. And I told both those individuals that I would get back to them with an answer, and I thought I'd put it in a video so everybody could share in the knowledge. If you guys have any questions, comments, or whatever, I'd appreciate you leaving a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Give it a thumbs up. I'll see everyone in the next video.